The true story of the Hospice of Saint John begins not in legend, but in Rome, in the age of Pope Gregory the Great, known to history as Gregory the Dialogist. Once a Benedictine monk, Gregory was sent as papal envoy to Constantinople, and later rose to the chair of St. Peter. He was a shepherd of nations. He made peace with the Lombards, sent missionaries to convert the Anglo-Saxons, and received the title Servus Servorum Dei, the servant of the servants of God. In the early 7th century, he dispatched an abbot named Probus to Jerusalem, with a simple yet holy mission, to build a hospice for pilgrims, visiting the Temple of Solomon. The work was completed around 603 AD, but scarcely a decade later, in 614, it was destroyed in the Persian invasion. 2 centuries passed. Then came Charlemagne, Charles the Great. He rebuilt Gregory's hospice, placing it under the care of the Benedictine monks of Santa Maria Latina, a monastery that stood beside the Holy Sepulchre. Yet even this sanctuary could not escape the storm. In the years around 1000 AD, the Fatimid Caliph al-Hakim Baimar Allah ordered the destruction of Christian shrines in Jerusalem, and the hospice once again fell to ruin. But from across the sea, help would come from the Italian city of Amalfi. Its Christian merchants, favored by the caliphs of Egypt, rebuilt both the monastery of Santa Maria Latina and the Hospice of Saint John, sometime between 1014 and 1023, and again around 1048. After direct negotiations with the Caliph al-Mustansi, modern archaeology has uncovered their traces. The foundations of 3 great buildings, 2 of them hospices, one dedicated to Saint Mary Magdalene, 4 women pilgrims, the other to Saint John the Almoner, for men arriving sick and weary, after long journeys through desert and sea. These were the first stones of what would become the Order of Saint John of Jerusalem. Yet even here, historians disagree. Some claim the Amalfitans built and ruled the hospice. Others believe that, though it existed before the Crusades, its true founder and first master was a man known as Gerard the Blessed, the Macarius. His origins are uncertain, his life veiled in shadows, but his legacy undeniable. From Gregory the Great to the Blessed Gerard, the Hospice of Jerusalem had endured fire, conquest, and ruin. And yet, it lived. It would rise again, reborn in the age of the Crusades, to become not merely a house of mercy, but a fortress of faith. France and Italy both claim Gerard of Martigues as their own. To the French, he was born in Provence, upon the Isle of Martigues. To the Italians, in Sasso di Scalo, near Amalfi. His blood, they say, flowed either from the noble house of Saint Didier, or from that of Del Sasso. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. His relics were venerated in Acre until the city's fall to the Muslims in 1283. And endured until their destruction during the French Revolution. Yet a single vertebra, and a few sacred fragments, survived. carried to Martigues, where they rest today within the town hall. Silent witnesses of a saintly life. As a monk in Jerusalem, Gerard served at the Hospital of Saint John the Baptist, a refuge for the sick, the weary, the poor. Though bound to the order of Saint Benedict, his spirit already looked beyond the cloister walls. When, in 1099, the armies of the First Crusade besieged Jerusalem, Gerard used not the sword, but mercy. The legend tells. He hurled loaves of bread over the walls to feed the crusaders. Accused of treason, he was seized, and when the sack he carried was opened, it held not bread, but stones. A miracle, they said. Faith turned bread to stone, and spared his life. Still, envy and suspicion pursued him. Charged with hiding treasures within the hospital, he was imprisoned and tortured. When Jerusalem fell to the Crusaders, he was freed, scarred, crippled, but unbroken. With the aid of Godefroy de Bouillon, protector of the Holy Sepulchre, Gerard rebuilt the hospital. He opened its doors once more. To every wounded pilgrim, every broken soul. Some stayed beside him. Others returned to the West, bearing tales of his kindness, and sending gifts to sustain his work. He labored on until the end. His body frail, his faith unyielding. On the 3rd day of September, in the year 1120, Gerard of Martigues passed peacefully into the light. But his work did not die with him. In 1113, Pope Paschal II placed the brotherhood under papal protection, and sealed its foundation with his bull, declaring the Hospital of Jerusalem forever under the care of the Holy See, and the protection of Saint Peter. From that day, the Brotherhood of Saint John became a sovereign order, free of tithes, free to choose its own master. 7 sanctuaries were granted across the West, from Bourg Saint-Gilles and Asti, to Pisa, Bari, Trani, Taranto, and Messina, a sacred chain along the road of pilgrims to Jerusalem. Thus, before his death, Gerard saw his vision fulfilled. The Order of Saint John, strong, free, and enduring, independent of every earthly power, and bound only to God and mercy. He was not a warrior, yet his courage forged a brotherhood. Not a king, yet his compassion founded a kingdom of service. Gerard of Martigues, the first master of charity, whose faith turned stone into bread, and mercy into a lasting order.